Hello and welcome. Tonight, 10 years after, parents and relatives of abducted Chibok schoolgirls pray for the safe return of the remaining 91 girls. Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, co-founder of the Bring Back Our Girls initiative, joins us tonight to reflect on the journey so far and where the movement stands 10 years after. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has uncovered more fraudulent deals from its investigations into activities of the Humanitarian Ministry. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP urges President Bola Tinubu to publish copies of loan agreements of past presidents since 1999. And Iran warns Israel that any reckless retaliation to its unprecedented aerial attack will receive a much stronger response. April 14, 2014 could just have been like any other day, but not for the residents of Chibok community in Borno State in Nigeria's northeast region. The otherwise sleepy community shot into national and international prominence following the brazen abduction of 276 schoolgirls from Government Girls Secondary School in Chibok by armed gunmen. When the news first broke, it sounded like a tale from a fictitious storybook. But after a few days and confirmation by parents of the missing students, it became clear that this was not a fiction, but indeed a nightmare. And as the dark reality dawned on the nation, 57 of the girls managed to escape from their captors, leaving 219 of them in captivity. The country watched in horror as news of the abduction spread, and the desperate pleas of parents for their daughters to return quickly captured attention worldwide. The Bring Back Our Girls group was formed and soon became a voice to create awareness and push for the rescue of the girls. Notable Nigerians and members of the international community, including the then wife of the American president, Michelle Obama, showed solidarity with the group and Nigeria as a whole. But then days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months became years before the first set of girls were rescued. Between 2016 and now, an additional 128 girls have been rescued through the efforts of state and the federal governments, further raising the hopes of parents whose daughters were yet to return. Unfortunately, it's been a case of dashed hopes for most of the parents who continue to hope that they will one day reunite with their daughters. Indeed, it's been 10 years after that unforgettable incident in the country's calendar, and 91 girls of the Chibok community are still missing. Now today in Chibok, it was more of mixed feelings as former abductees, parents, and relatives gathered at the multi-purpose hall of the school to pray for the safe return of the remaining 91 girls. At the interfaith service of prayers, speakers expressed mixed reactions following the turnout of events since the year 2014. Most of the speakers want to know why the remaining Chibok girls are yet to be rescued, while those captured after them have regained their freedom.
Chibok, located in the southern part of Borno State, is about 125 kilometers from the capital, Maiduguri, at the heart of the Sambisa forest. On this day in 2014, female students of the then Government Girls Secondary School, Chibok, were abducted by Boko Haram terrorists and taken into the Sambisa forest. 10 years on, 179 of those students have either escaped or been released, but 92 of them remain unaccounted for. Several of the girls returned to their families as mothers, others as widows of late terrorists, very few lucky to return unmarried and or without children. Some of the parents were delighted to see their children on their return, regardless of their status. The others continue to wonder about the fate of their daughters. was a free reign of emotions at the 10th year interfaith prayer service organized by parents of the abducted girls. Religious leaders and parents could not hold back their tears as various speakers recounted their ordeals and the efforts to get the remaining girls freed.
A lot of girls has been adopted in this country, but why our own is so exceptional? Up to these days, we are still having a lot of them missing. That's what makes us so much annoyed, because of government give a series of promise that they will get these girls out.
There are so many efforts that my local government are doing to see that these girls are released. So many times we had security meetings, we challenge the militaries. We give them information.
Some of the parents of the girls still in captivity were in tears while recounting their experiences to Channels Television.
When the incident happened at that 14th April, in fact, we were all shocked. And even though we are still waiting to see how the government and even those that can help to see that this almost 10 years we didn't see our daughter, we are still praying for Allah to, go around the issue to bring them back for us alive.
I've been unhappy since I heard of our coming here, and I've been praying that our children return so I can also rejoice with others.
The Borno State government renovated and renamed the school to Government Secondary School Chibok 7 years after the abduction, turning it into a non-boarding school. The principal of the school, however, says discussions are ongoing to revert to the original status of boarding for both boys and girls.
The structure of the school has been expanded more than before, because currently we are having, in terms of every structure, we have enough. And in terms of the student, the population of students is also increasing, unlike the time when the school resumed. So really, the structure of the school is now fully in operation, and students and teachers are also okay with the system at the place that is Chibok. It's not a boarding school. We are operating on day basis.
To ensure the safety of the school, a Brigade Commander 28 Task Force Chibok, Brigadier General Bede Amako, sheds more light on the extra measures taken.
Efforts are being made at various levels, from the federal to the state, and especially in the military hierarchy, to make sure that we do all within our powers to make sure that these girls are out.
According to statistics released by parents of the abducted Chibok girls, 271 students were abducted on that unfortunate day. 57 girls escaped shortly after in 2014, while 103 were released through the interventions of the federal government, and 20 others were released by the efforts of the state government. But 92 students still remain in captivity.
So let's now get some more insight into the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls 10 years ago and what has been done so far to bring back the girls. And we are being joined on the News at 10 by a former Minister of Education and a co-convener of the Bring Back Our Girls group, Dr. Oby Ezekwesili. Dr. Ezekwesili joins us from our studios in Abuja. Great to have you on the News at 10, Dr. Ezekwesili.
Good evening.
All right, so Dr. Ezekwesili, it's indeed been 10 years. Some of the girls are back and some are still missing. How do you feel about all that has happened in the last 10 years since the girls were abducted? But before you get into that, can you just, if you will, kindly help us address the discrepancy in the number of the girls still missing? From our calculations, there's supposed to be 91. But of course, we're hearing numbers that perhaps mean that it's 92. Some are even saying perhaps 93. What's the actual number, Dr. Ezekwesili?
Well, we, as of today, have now said that information that is accurate lies on the table of the government of Nigeria, that is the federal government, because according to the data that the Kibaki Association organization, which is the Chibok Community Association has, they actually say 82 from the original list that we knew of the children that the Sabu committee. You remember that there was the Brigadier General Sabu committee that was set up some 6 months or thereabouts after the incident of the Chibok girls tragedy. When you checked out names against it, you find that it's the numbers are closer to what the Chibok community people are saying than to the 91 that is sometimes quoted. But all of these show clearly why this opaqueness around the matters of Chibok girls remains totally unacceptable. The federal government needs to be providing information. There is need for status update on who has been rescued and who remains unrescued. And for those who remain unrescued, what is the latest in terms of a rescue strategy for them? All of that would fall within the realms of government understanding that it has accountability for Chibok girls, whether rescued or still in captivity. There is a responsibility for the federal government. And I know that sometimes people wonder, why do you say federal government all the time? Well, because the matter of security and the establishments that are responsible for practically everything that has to do with security is the constitutional mandate of the federal government. And so this centralized monopoly of the institutions and agencies of security makes it really the call of the federal government to provide answers to situations of this kind, which also shows how ridiculous it is that local level issues are now centralized so badly that we have to call on the federal government in order to know data of incidents like this.
Now, Dr. Ezekwesili, did you actually ever imagine that 10 years down the line, we'll still be talking about the missing Chibok schoolgirls? And in fact, do you think we've actually had, or have we learned any lesson at all, from this incident? Are we doing enough in order to keep our schools safe and secure?
Wow, there are too many questions, but I'll try to remember all of them. So number one is, have we learned any lessons? Because we haven't learned any lessons. What we actually did in the poor, almost horrific response to the tragedy of Chibok girls signaled to those who seek to destroy what we know to be our civilization, which is that education is the basis of a triumphant progress of any society, especially because it is what lifts the poor from one station of life to another level of it. And so if an ideology says that education is abhorrent or education is an anomaly or an abomination, then it is fighting our civilization. And what we did by not responding effectively, swiftly, to the distress of Chibok girls and their parents, but getting them trapped in some very insane conversations around politics and power and all kinds of total irrelevancies, things that were clearly a case of measuring in the minors while children were in captivity, was to signal that we place zero value on the lives of our children. So once we did that, what we ended up doing was we created a market for abduction of children, but not just children anymore. It's the abduction of anyone that comes within our clause of abduction. And so when you asked me the other question of, did I ever imagine that we would be on a 10-year journey? You know, I didn't even imagine that we would be on a 3-month journey. At the time that I joined, my voice, and you know, when I say joined my voice, I would actually say brought my voice into the matter. It was exactly on the day that BBC tweeted that Chibok girls had been abducted from their school in Chibok, Borno State. And I never stopped. The social media campaign that I commenced concerning Chibok girls dovetailed into what happened on April 30th. We were ahead by 2 weeks in calling attention. The hashtag Bring Back Our Girls already was massive on social media. And so when women of Nigeria decided to gather at the Unity Fountain and show solidarity for Chibok girls, it adopted that hashtag. Now, at the time we began to, when we decided that this was going to be a matter to focus on until the federal government would take action concerning the girls, I thought, at the most, you know, maybe 1 month, because strangely, it was not until 3 weeks after the Chibok girls were taken that the federal government acknowledged that a tragedy of that kind actually happened.
Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, we definitely have to end it there. I really appreciate you, but we will definitely run out of time. But we thank you so much for your thoughts, of course, on the news at 10. And let's hope that the remaining schoolgirls still in captivity will definitely return to their parents. Thank you so much again, Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, on the news at 10. In part 2, after the break, Channels Television's data analyst Babajide Ogunsanwo joins us with some perspectives and indeed data 10 years after the abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls. Please stay with us.
You can now print all your essential items for events without even having to leave your home. It's the Cash Print's combo deal for all events.
Yes!
Weddings, conferences, birthdays, burials, etc. Starting from 495,000 naira only. You get 50 invites, 50 A2 size posters, 50 16-page brochures, 1 large backdrop banner, 1 roll-up banner, 50 jotters with pens, and 50 souvenir carrier bags. Whatever event you're planning, we can adjust to your budget and quantities. Just send your pictures and other information through WhatsApp, and we shall send a design for your approval. Approve your design, and we will produce with super high-quality digital print technology. We can even arrange delivery to your location. Call us now on 0913-156-5016 or 0812-794-9323 or visit our social media pages. Cash Prints, digital printing at super speed.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 10 years after, parents and relatives of abducted Chibok schoolgirls pray for the safe return of the remaining 91 girls. Dr. Oby Ezekwesili, co-founder of the Bring Back Our Girls initiative, of course, spoke to us to reflect on the journey so far and where the movement stands 10 years after. Now, the EFCC says it has uncovered more fraudulent deals from its investigations into activities of the humanitarian ministry. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project Serap urges President Bola Tinubu to publish copies of loan agreements of past presidents since 1999. And Iran warns Israel that any reckless retaliation to its unprecedented aerial attack will receive a much stronger response. Now to the Chibok community in Borno State, where Bring Back Our Girls group and other critical stakeholders are asking government at all levels to step in and ensure the immediate release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls abducted by the Boko Haram terrorist group back in 2014. They made the call at an event organized to commemorate the Chibok girls' abduction at the Unity Fountain in Abuja. Our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluade, reports.
April 14, 2014 remains indelible in the memories of many Nigerians, being the day over 200 schoolgirls were kidnapped from the government's girls' secondary school in Chibok, Borno State. These critical stakeholders have converged on the Unity Fountain in Abuja in high spirits, ferociously demanding the safe release of girls believed to still be in captivity. The BBOG abbreviation, which means Bring Back Our Girls, is a movement widely recognized by many across the country, which was birthed after the unfortunate incident.
We, the Kibaku, are deeply disappointed with the pervasive failure by successive governments of Borno State since 2014 in their inability or refusal or failure to rescue all our daughters for a decade now. Within this time, 48 parents have lost their lives, mostly due to heart conditions and other health-related reasons.
In a similar vein, other stakeholders make their demands while appealing for the intervention of the government.
When I hear Nigerians talk anyhow about Chibok girls, all I do is pray for them. I pray for those Nigerians. There are many ways to put a curse on yourself. Many ways to put a curse on yourself. But the worst way to put a curse on yourself is to not be bothered about what has happened to your fellow human being. To be callous toward your fellow human being. You already cursed yourself. Nobody needs to curse you. And here we are today. The key message: disclosure, accountability, closure.
The event took a sad turn when one of the mothers broke down in tears. When she was able to pull herself together, she had this to say. It has not been easy waiting for my daughter's return. All I want is to see my daughter, dead or alive.
It's a decade now since the Chibok girls were adopted by the Boko Haram terrorist group. The relentless determination of the Bring Back Our Girls movement and other critical stakeholders is the driving force for the demand of the release of the 82 girls still believed to be in captivity. Hopefully, the present government of Nigeria takes drastic decisions to ensure that these girls are reunited with their loved ones in no time. From the Unity Fountain in Abuja, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
That has been a decade since 276 girls were kidnapped from a government girls' school in Chibok town, Borno State, is no longer in doubt. Tonight, the question is, what does the next decade look like? Babajide Ogunso, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is right here to share insights. Great to have you on the News at 10, Babajide.
Good evening, Nayotunde.
All right, so let's hit it from the word go. Is there actually any easy way to summarize these difficult 10 years for the families of these Chibok schoolgirls who have been abducted?
No easy way. But what we need to clearly state tonight is how it all started. And what I mean is we had a problem and we wanted a solution to the problem. At the start of the new millennium, 2000-2001, the then government led by President Obasanjo wanted to reduce illiteracy that was everywhere in the country. And so one of the ways to reduce illiteracy was to build more schools so that you have more children attending the school. So that was a solution to the problem of illiteracy. However, this solution created another problem because in building more schools, we built good schools and bad schools, schools that should ordinarily not even qualify as schools. And so we had so many schools that were developed within the last 2 decades, and a lot of those, what we call unnecessary schools, are now targets for kidnappers. So it all started from a problem, illiteracy, the need to find a solution, build more public schools, which has happened. However, we've seen that we've built a lot of public schools that should ordinarily not be qualified as schools, and those schools are now vulnerable targets for kidnappers. So that's the first premise. The second premise is, depending on how you want to look at history, yes, a lot of good things have happened on April 14 in history, but yes, today, a lot of bad things have happened. The first American president that was assassinated happened April 14th. The Titanic story that we all talk about, the ship sank April 14th. But that is not really the focus tonight. We should start with really going down the memory lane about visualizing how this event happened. Because if we take a look at how this all happened in that community in Chibok, it allows us to clearly understand from the beginning when the kidnappers, which are actually classified as terrorists, came into this government girls' secondary school when they were preparing for their exams, came in different vehicles with a lot of weapons. Some of these girls, yes, were Christians, some were Muslims, but beyond their religion, they were taken away, not on their will, they were forced away, put back on trucks and taken to locations that went significantly beyond Chibok. They were taken to, some reports based on the accounts of the girls that have been rescued said they even went beyond Zambisa. We've seen girls coming from Cameroon. But the good news, or what started off in that time, was there was some good news because some of these girls immediately escaped. 57 of those girls escaped immediately. They were kidnapped, and that attempt was made. So that's how it really all started, April 14 and April 15th.
So Babajide, how successful have operations or rescue operations been since 2014?
So 10 years. It's good to look at, like you said, these operations. Some of them have been rescue operations by the military. Some have been releases based on some sort of negotiation. So let's take a look at those critical timelines. What has happened since 2014 to date, so that everyone clearly understands what has happened. Big day, April 14th, we saw those 57 girls released after the incident had happened. 2016, big days. The first Chibok girl, Amina Ali, was released. 2017, we saw that release of Rakia as well. Going to 2018, Salome Pagu was rescued. 2021, Awa, and we can clearly see how events have played out based on these timelines up until 2023 last year, when we also saw a lot of girls, 5 girls released. So the summary is we've seen timelines of a lot of rescue operations. In all, we've seen 183 girls rescued, but later we'll go into the statistics of exactly how all this happened.
In fact, that was what I was coming to, of course. There seems to be different statistics, like you already said. And what are the facts really? How many girls are still missing?
So it depends on how we want to look at it. First is, in such instances, there's always a margin of error, usually depending on plus or minus 3% or plus or minus 5%. So if you hear some people say 87 girls are still missing, it's still within the tolerable limit. Average of 90, some say 87, some say 93. So it's still within the allowable limit. However, what we've seen based on available records is that 183 girls have been released. The good news is that approximately 70% of that 276 number, which you see in front of you, so approximately 7 out of every 10 girls that were kidnapped have been released or rescued. Approximately 93 still missing. More good news. In the second decade, so we've seen 10 years. In the first 5 years, 103 were rescued and released. In the last 5 years, we've seen only 18 rescued and released. However, the good news is these 18 children, girls that have been released in the last 5 years, majority of them happened when the current Chief of Defense Staff, General Musa, was the theater commander in the northeast. So what we expect is, since he was the one leading the theater when 18 of these girls that were released in the last 5 years happened, we perhaps should be seeing more numbers in the future years. What we've seen is in last year we saw 5, and we hopefully should see more girls being released.
So finally, Babajide, what next for the armed forces? I mean, what lessons have we learned already from all of this?
Pretty much there are three things that we need to talk about as we round up. First is, we've seen clearly the first lesson is it is better to prevent than to cure. It is better to prevent kidnapping than to get these children after they've been kidnapped. Clearly we've seen, even though we looked at the statistics, 90% of those girls that have been released have happened in the first 5 years of this decade. So we can clearly see preventing kidnapping should be our priority. Second is, we've seen that quality of schools now is better than the quantity of schools. We needed quantity when there was a thirst to reduce illiteracy, but what is clear now is we have a lot of schools that do not have quality. Third, and perhaps most important, is also going by the words, and if you take a look at the words of the chief, the security chief, he's clearly said that our schools, yes, need to have better quality, but there also has to be more collaboration. In his words, our schools should feel like heaven, and I agree to that. And for the kidnappers, it should feel like hell. So summary is, we need to move from quantity of schools to having quality schools.
Babajide Ogunsanwo, thank you so much for your thoughts on the news at 10.
The pleasure is all mine I have today.
Three people have been killed after an army patrol vehicle crashed into a commercial tricycle in Bade, local government area of Oby State. An eyewitness told Channels Television that the accident, which occurred at the popular Garin Alkali market, also left 8 people, including the driver of the tricycle and passengers, with various degrees of injuries. The incident had sparked a protest by members of the Association of Commercial Tricycle in some locations, causing a gridlock on the main road leading to Gashua, the headquarters of Bade local government area. Still ahead on the news at 10, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP asked President Tinubu's government to publish details of loans, interest and other payments made by past presidents since 1999. Please join us again.
Connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. The Nigerian Army says it is launching an investigation over the alleged involvement of some of its personnel in the death of a hotel manager in Umuahia, Abia State. A statement by the Director of Army Public Relations, Major General Onyema Nwachukwu, says the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has ordered a comprehensive investigation to ascertain the facts and bring to book anyone found culpable, while extending its condolence to the families of the late hotel manager, Mr. James Achimogu, and the Nigerian Air Force officer, Cadet Emmanuel Chidiebere. The Nigerian Army assured the public that every effort will be made to ensure that justice is served. The statement also adds that the findings of the investigation will be made public. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, says it has uncovered other fraudulent dealings involving COVID-19 funds, the World Bank loan, the Abacha recovered loot, to add the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. The Commission also denied reports that it has cleared some persons said to be involved in financial misappropriations at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. In a statement by the EFCC spokesperson, Dele Uyewale, tagged "Setting the Record Straight" on investigations of Humanitarian Ministry, the anti-graft agency maintained that investigations are still ongoing, and the Commission has so far recovered 32.7 billion naira and $445,000 from the ministry. The statement reads in part, "Discrete investigations by the EFCC have opened other fraudulent dealings involving COVID-19 funds, the World Bank loan, the Abacha recovered loot released to the ministry by the federal government to execute its poverty alleviation mandate." The statement further states, "Banks involved in the alleged fraud are being investigated. Managing directors of the indicted banks have made useful statements to investigators digging into the infractions." In January this year, President Bola Tinubu suspended Dr. Betta Edu as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation over allegations that she directed the Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Medin, to transfer 585 million naira to a private account owned by one Onielu Bridget. Let's talk politics now, and the governor of Ondo State, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, says there is no vacancy to be filled in the Ondo State Government House. The governor, who was speaking during a tour of local government areas in the state ahead of his party's governorship primary, says he has all it takes to step into the shoes of his late boss, Rotimi Akeredolu. Governor Aiyedatiwa, who says he will build on the reforms brought into governance by the late governor, also expressed optimism that he will clinch the party's ticket at the primary.
The tour of local governments begins in Ondo West local government, with the governor visiting the traditional ruler before meeting party faithful to energize his base ahead of the party's governorship primaries on Saturday, 20th of April. The train then moves to Ileoluji Okeibo.
I've never seen this kind of love and support. But since this is the second local government, I'm sure other local government will repeat the same thing. I represented here unit leaders and men, the women, the men, the youth, all of them are here to receive me, to pledge their support. Before now, about a month and a half ago, they did a similar thing by mobilizing themselves to endorse me to continue as governor of Ondo State. But today they've all come out on this local government tour to express the same openly.
The final destination for the day is Ondo East local government area, where Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa expresses confidence he will be the party's flag bearer. Early on Friday, the governor had flagged off his local government tour at a federal local government area where some party stalwarts spoke about the chances of the governor ahead of the primaries.
By the grace of God, comes by this time Saturday, Lucky Aiyedatiwa will have been declared the winner of this primary.
Ifedore belongs to Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. It's a place where he is loved thoroughly, and he has also demonstrated affection. All the way for the next 5 days. We're excited about what is about to come. I think Ondo State has seen the difference between a sitting governor and an ordinary aspirant. People love him, and it's natural love.
The campaign is set to move to Akure North and Idonre local government next.
Staying with politics, this time in Edo State, where a two-term former member of the Senate representing Edo South Senatorial District, Matthew Rogide, has switched allegiance from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress ahead of the Edo 2024 governorship election. The top leaders of the party, including Senator Adams Oshomole and the party's state executives who were on ground to welcome Senator Rogide back into the party, acknowledge his weight in the political arena. Our correspondent, Jessica Olobuse, reports.
Excited Active All Progressives Congress members celebrate the arrival of the national leader, Senator Adams Oshomole, at this packed hall in Benin City, the Edo State capital, where leaders and stakeholders of the party are gathered for a ceremony designed to increase their number. Among the fresh entrants into the party from the People's Democratic Party is two-term former senator from Edo South, Matthew Rugidi, who describes himself as a founding member of the APC and the party as one with mature politicians. His mission, he emphasizes, is to help build the party, enthrone good governance, and bring respect back to key institutions in the state.
I'm coming back to the APC today after 13 years and 3 months of sojourn in the PDP. The APC, as ACD, as AC, as ACN, I'm very proud to say that I'm a foundation member of this party. But today, the good Lord and our able party leaders so I've decided to come back to the fold of mature politicians. I want to say that my decision to come back is to come and help build this party. I help enthrone Monday, Okpebolo, and Dennis Idaos as governor and deputy governor.
An elated Senator Oshomole begins his welcome home remarks with an apology to Senator Ruhidi for a past mistake where he chose another politician over him. He also acknowledges Senator Ruhidi's enviable prowess in politics.
I will begin by apologizing publicly here and now. State Chairman, I have personal apology to make to distinguished Senator Matthew Odohidi. There is nothing shameful about making mistakes. It only becomes shameful if you have arrogance such that you are unable to own up to your mistake. Now, why am I apologizing? By the time I was sworn in as the governor of this state, we realized that we must keep the promises that we made. Unfortunately, like every human, I think the devil played his part. And I was misadvised. I am not going to blame those who misadvised me, but I accept the responsibility that I took the decision to support Uzameri. And when I did, I later realized it. The latest Okpa of blessed memory told me, my son, you've made a mistake.
As a mark of his confidence in Senator Ruhidi, Comrade Oshomole nominates him for a key role ahead of the Edo 2024 governorship election, a position which Mr. Ruhidi accepts.
For victory, and in victory. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Other politicians who also defected to the APC from the PDP include a former clerk of the House of Representatives, Patrick Giwa, and 8 former local government council chairmen in Edo State. Jessica Olubusere, Channels Television News.
The Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, says the government is set to arrest and prosecute aviation personnel who have been dodging their requisite trainings and certifications, thereby putting the flying public at risk. Mr. Keyamo told Channels Television that the federal government has obtained credible information about such people and will not hesitate to go after them. According to the minister, these are not the only erring people in the aviation sector.
People now come and take license from us to say, I've just bought a private jet. I want to be using it for my business or to fly my friends and my family. And we give them very low fee, pay this. The moment you give them, they are carrying passengers all over Nigeria, doing 6 or 8 flights a day. And nobody's checking them. Before I came, nobody. There's a notice to them on camera. It's a notice. I am coming for them. I am coming for them. Because the president has given us marching orders. We're not going to allow this to happen. First of all, in terms of the regulation, tracking them, making sure passengers are safe that you carry, regulating them and all that is low. Secondly, you are cheating the federal government. It's economic sabotage. It's economic sabotage. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. So people who are even my friends or friends of Mr. President or friends, we are going to come hard on all of them and perhaps ground all their planes, withdraw their licenses, come very hard on them. We're not going to allow that to happen. And I'm about to do something on that. And guess what? I'm tying it down to the issue of training and retraining, because it is in most of these private aircraft you now see those people who are not gone for their normal routine training. They are the ones flying them. And we have complicity within the system. People who are supposed to check them, who are supposed to carry out sting operations on them, they are actually, that's their pot of soup. It's their pot of soup. They just come and give them their monthly fee. So, oh yeah, okay. You know, say they use this aircraft too. And they say, no worry. They look the other way. I have intelligence on them now. So we are going to very, very soon, in a matter of days or weeks, come very hard on them.
Now the full interview with the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, will be showing on Newsnight this Monday at 9 p.m. on all our channels television platforms. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has asked President Bola Tinubu to direct appropriate ministries, departments and agencies to provide the organization with copies of the loan agreements obtained by the governments of former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari. SERAP is also seeking the spending details of any such loans, as well as the interests and other payments so far made on the loans. The organization wants the president to establish an independent audit on the spending of the loans obtained by the governments of the former presidents and to make public the findings of any such audit. SERAP says it is concerned that substantial parts of the loans obtained by successive governments since the return of democracy in 1999 may have been mismanaged, diverted or stolen, and in any case remain unaccounted for. The people of Akwanga, Wamba and Nasarawa Egon Federal Constituency have adopted participatory democracy to hold their representatives accountable and ensure quality representation of the zone. Residents from across different party lines in collaboration with Yaga Africa engaged in a stewardship town hall meeting where they gave feedback to their representatives at the Green Chambers of the National Assembly, Mr. Jeremiah Umaru. Our correspondent, Halima Gayam, reports.
Not a speech.
Traditional rulers, political leaders across party lines, women, youth, religious and sociocultural groups of Wamba, Akwanga and Nasarawa Egon Federal Constituency converge for a town hall meeting in Akwanga local government area of Nasarawa State.
We will continue to emulate you.
The first of its kind at the instance of the lawmaker representing the area at the House of Representatives, Jeremiah Umaru, to present his stewardship so far and to obtain feedback for improved representation.
Those that know you and those that don't know you.
In collaboration with Yaga Africa, the essence is to ensure better representation, which has been lacking in the zone for decades.
As a legislator, I have three major functions to perform. One, quality representation. Two, making of laws. Three, proper oversight. When you talk about representation, I think so far so good. We are moving, but we need to do more.
As a frontline platform in promoting participatory democracy in Africa, Yaga is engaging young legislators in the country to deliver on their mandates.
The organization is interested in the activities of young ones at the National Assembly, including women as well. This is one in a series of town hall meetings, and we hope that at the end of this encounter, you will be well informed as to what your servant that you sent to the National Assembly has been able to do so far.
A group of 43 young legislators at the House of Representatives are adopting this initiative to ensure inclusivity, deepen democracy, and ensure effective representation by the youthful populace.
When we came in, first thing we agreed that we are going to do together is that to pursue and ensure that each of us must take at least 10 projects back home. And today, none of us take less than 12 projects back home.
The interactive session of the engagement paves way for the people to ask for more women and youth empowerment programs, security, and people-oriented projects.
And I want to call on you, do not let them down. Your scorecard has clearly confirmed that you are a very sound and effective ambassador of our National North constituency.
With 10 bills, 7 motions championed alongside other developmental projects across various sectors in 8 months of representation by Jeremiah Umaru, the people of the zone are united, notwithstanding political affiliations, for their growth and development. Halima Agayam, Channels Television News.
Welcome to Sports News. Now, Bayer Leverkusen FC crushed Werder Bremen 5-0 this evening to win the German Bundesliga for the first time in their 120-year history, breaking Bayern Munich's 11-year stranglehold on the German title. Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen were controlled and dominant despite the occasion. A hat-trick from Florian Wirtz alongside goals from Nigerian international Victor Boniface and former Arsenal player Granit Xhaka, extending their unbeaten run to a stunning 43 games in all competitions. Leverkusen's maiden title win, coming after 5 second-place finishes in their history, keeps their dream of a remarkable treble alive this season. Aston Villa inflicted a blow to Arsenal's hopes of a first English Premier League title for 20 years as late goals from Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins earned a 2-0 win at the Emirates earlier this evening. The Gunners were fortunate to remain on level terms for so long against the impressive visitors, who secured a deserved win to move 3 points ahead of Tottenham Hotspur in 4th, having played the game more. Liverpool's shock 1-0 home loss to Crystal Palace earlier leaves Manchester City 2 points clear at the top of the table with just 6 games remaining. Andreas Pereira's well-taken double either side of half-time saw Fulham win 2-0 at a lackluster West Ham United as Marco Silva's side got back to winning ways. Meanwhile, Reds boss Jurgen Klopp says the criticism of Liverpool FC is fine and right after their damaging loss to Crystal Palace, leaving their hopes of winning the Premier League title in tatters. Klopp's men have 3 away games before they return to Anfield, playing at Fulham, Everton and West Ham United over the next 2 weeks. Greece's Stefanos Tsitsipas has won his 3rd Monte Carlo Masters title this evening as he overwhelmed Casper Ruud of Norway 6-1, 6-4 in the final. The 25-year-old, who added the trophy to the titles here in 2021 and 2022, will now return to the top 10 in the ATP World Rankings on Monday. He is the 5th man to win 3 or more Monte Carlo titles, joining Rafa Nadal on 11 and Bjorn Borg, Thomas Muster and Ilie Nastase, who won 3 apiece.
It's a hat-trick in Monte Carlo for Stefanos Tsitsipas.
6-4.
Happy for you. Well done. Good. All the best for play. Good season. Do well. Thank you.
Some lovely words shared between the pair. A final, though, that was very much about the one man. A week that he will hope will kickstart his season.
Iran has warned Israel of a larger attack on its territory should it retaliate against Tehran's overnight drone and missile attacks. Now, President Ibrahim Raisi, in a statement earlier today, said if the Zionist regime or its supporters demonstrate reckless behavior, they will receive a decisive and much stronger response. His statement follows a similar warning by Iran's military chief, Major General Mohammad Bagheri, who told local media that a much larger response awaits Israel if it retaliates against Iran.
The sound of air raid sirens wailing in Jerusalem in the early hours of Sunday morning as Iranian drones and missiles entered into Israeli airspace. The drones were launched by Iran. Hundreds of them made their way towards Israel in Tehran's first direct attack on the Jewish state, signaling a major escalation of tensions in the region. The attack is Iran's response to an alleged Israeli airstrike on the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria, on April 1st, which killed at least 7 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, including a senior Quds force member. Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant said in a video statement the IDF thwarted the Iranian attack on its territory in an impressive manner. Gallant has described Iran as a terrorist state whose true face the world is now seeing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is prepared for any attack from Iran, and it will exact a price from Iran as it weighs its response to the unprecedented overnight barrage of drones and missile strikes while facing international pressure to de-escalate.
אני קורא לכם לשמוע להנחיות פיקוד העורף.
U.S. officials say President Joe Biden has made it very clear to Israel that he hopes to de-escalate tensions following the attack. They also say the U.S. will not participate in any Israeli offensive response. While Israel remains on high alert following the attack, it's been condemned by Britain, the European Union, and the G7, which have called for calm. Jordan has sought to de-escalate the tension, while militant group Hezbollah has congratulated Iran's leadership for its attack on Israel, calling it a wise decision.
Australian police say a knife-wielding man who killed 6 people in a Sydney shopping centre before being shot dead has been identified. A 40-year-old man sent the crowded Westfield Bondi Junction complex into panic on Saturday when he began stabbing people with a long blade. 5 women and a man died. Several others, including a baby, were injured. Authorities said the attack was most likely related to the mental health of the man named Mr. Kochi. Authorities said they were still trying to notify families of the victims, noting 2 appeared to have no relatives in Australia. And the main news again. 10 years after, parents and relatives of abducted Chibok schoolgirls today gathered to pray for the safe return of the remaining 91 girls. Also today, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said it has uncovered more fraudulent deals from its investigations into the activities of the Humanitarian Ministry. Specifically, the Anti-Graft Agency said it uncovered fraudulent dealings involving COVID funds, World Bank loan, and the Abacha recovered loot. And that's news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rotimi. You have a great week.